All right, then let me quickly introduce you without any further ado to our moderator of the panel. In today's fireside chat, our moderator is Miss Siribi Soni. First of all, I would like to just mention that she's an absolute delight to chat with, and I'm really looking forward to her insights here. Miss Siribi Soni is a senior product manager with a focus on growth and strategy at Accenture. With great experience in the industry, Siribi is an expert in driving sustainable growth for clients through innovation solutions such as metaverse, cloud, generative AI-driven offerings, and platform solutions. Her strategic approach to product management and deep understanding of customer needs has earned her a reputation as a trusted advisor to clients in her current role at Accenture. Siribi leads the development and execution of growth strategies that drive business success for clients. We're really looking forward to listening to the questions and the conversation that she would be moderating with Pallavi Palparthy. A very warm welcome, Ms. Siribi Soni.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kashish. And I'm totally delighted to be invited over here.
Let me go ahead and put you on spotlight, and you can go ahead and take the spotlight and continue with the session.
Definitely.
Yes, just a second. I am not able to see your video. Can you see me?
Okay, yeah. I think I cannot start the video.
Just a second. Yes, I think now you should be able to turn on your video.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you can see me, right?
Yes.
So
I'm going to be pinning you and we can begin.
So very warm welcome to everyone who had joined here, and especially kind of things that we are doing Fire Chat is always special, especially for the product managers, because most of the time we interact. So today we are going to interact with Pallavi, and I would just like to quickly introduce her. Pallavi is an innovation leader with a proven track record in driving product and technology roadmap. She prioritizes customer centricity and utilizes market insight to develop a sustainable vision that meets the market need and customer satisfaction. Moreover, Pallavi's strategic view anticipates market trends, optimizing product market fit, and competitor analysis, customer and solution study. She manages the stakeholders from the different departments and translating a strategic initiative to the team. Pallavi sets success metrics, measure performance, and defines product roadmap using data analytics to meet business goals. Overall, this is her profile, but we are going to talk more on top of that about her journey and a lot of the special things that she would like to discuss and share with you all today in order to highlight and enlighten each of you who are aspiring product managers, or you are already practicing it and try to excel in your ways. So welcome, Pallavi. How are you?
Hey, Siribi. Thank you so much for such a beautiful welcome for me. And thank you, Kashish, for having this event. I'm really excited to be a part of this and looking forward to having this conversation with you both.
Okay, so just to start with, Pallavi, like I have given you an introduction, since the theme of this entire conversation is going as a woman in product and especially in product management. So to start with, I would just ask a very important question that we always come across, and I think you are also being the part of it, that what really inspired you to pursue a career in product management, and what has been your journey so far? And this question, many people can relate with that, and it will help both aspiring product managers and the people who are already practicing like us. Yeah.
So, Siribi, you will be surprised to know I did not know about the role of a product manager for a very long time, right? I studied, and when I studied, I was focusing on being a software developer. I was told that, oh, if you do an MBA, you might not get like a software engineer kind of a role. Continue doing your master's in IT too, where you're developing code and things like that. So I always focused on coding, and I was a lot into C, then C++ and Java, and I'm sure a lot of people find it very old at this point of time. I'm older, but I remember I was sitting at my desk. I was lucky enough that I first moved to Australia for a few years. I was still in development. I was at Oracle, great company to work for. Then I moved to US, and it was an internal movement. And very surprisingly, probably it is because of my height. I'm an Indian girl, just 5'4", right? I used to always think, probably if anything happens to me in this cubicle, no one would know because I'm just sitting over there writing features, developing code, and not really interacting with anyone.
Yeah.
And that kind of started getting to me. It was more like a 5 feet view into the world of everything that I was developing instead of understanding where it was coming from. I used to look at the software requirements document and I used to wonder, who are these people who are writing this, right? How are they making these decisions? Then I started looking at courses, and luckily at that point of time, I was in Bay Area, and Stanford had this great course. And trust me, it was extremely pricey, and Oracle was kind enough to say that I could go and pursue this. I had to do 6 certifications to get through it. And when I went there too, I mean, the course was amazing. We had students from 80 different countries joining in, and I loved everything about it. That's when I think I started realizing the role of what a product manager is, how important it is to think of a lot of things while you're making decisions, because you had these people who were, company CEOs, people who actually were founders, coming in and teaching me. So that is where I learned about it, and that is when my interest in this entire field started. And mind you, even though my interest started there, I did not become a product manager right away. Being a technical person, being a woman in technical background was a huge deal at that time, and especially being on a H1, it mattered that, you got the role that you wanted, was, also a role that paid you well, and just being very practical about it. So it took me some time to become a product manager, but it was something that I always loved, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting journey. And I think the many will understand it's not how it looks, bed of roses. Like you have to take steps, you have to strategize your growth, and you need to vision yourself how you are going to be 5 years down the line.
Exactly.
And I think this is an important point to ponder for all of us who really want to get into that. So totally agree with that. So I think let's move more into your practices that you follow day in and out. That will also going to give an overview to each of us. That how do you balance competing priorities? Like when you're working on a product, and how do you prioritize what features to develop? Why I'm asking, because most of the time people are juggling between the priorities. And one of the important aspect of product manager is to keep things prioritized, what to do first and last. What's your opinion on that?
To be very honest, when I first started out this role, I actually faced these things because I was working on a solution that had 2 products on it. It was not just that the feature of the product that was prioritized, we had 2 kind of stakeholders for both the products, and everyone thought, oh, my product is more important than the other one, kind of a thing. And this is where, it kind of becomes difficult because WSJ is such a thing that it's kind of difficult to compare and then say, this is better than this, kind of a thing. And then I actually spent some time looking around as to what kind of frameworks or what kind of measuring prioritizing tool would be the right way to look forward to, prioritizing the right way. Because especially coming from a software background, you realize that technical debt also becomes very important. Because scalability, quality, these things also become very important, while as much as it is very important to look at the product itself. I came across this process called RISE, which is basically reach, impact, confidence, and effort, right? And it took me some time. I had to, basically do a bunch of presentations around it. I had to talk about the importance of it. Tell them, let us try this. I'll take like 2 hours of your time. Let's do this. If you don't like where it is going, let's not use this. But we eventually started, the stakeholders started seeing the importance of it. The point is that it's very important that we understand where the business is coming from as product managers, right? As even though we are the gap, the bridge between those who are developing the solutions and those who, who really need these solutions, we need to always try to say, what is the impact you have? What value are you bringing to the customer at the end of the day? right? Are you bringing a value that will impact their bottom line? Why would they be interested in, using your product if there is no impact for them? A small change that might take a lot of time to implement but looks cool might not be something that they are even remotely interested in. If you ask them, they might say, oh, this is a really cool feature to have. But at the end of the day, if the connection itself is not good, like we are on Zoom call right now, if there is an issue with the connectivity itself, if there is an issue with you and me being able to talk without any quality disruptions, that is a lot more important than having any other cool features associated with it, right? So
sense.
you must be facing that, with your kind of work. Like strategy is something where strategy is something where you're also talking about the business line, but you're also talking about brand. And you're talking about what kind of brand you're establishing. What brand is about, trust. It's about the quality, and these kind of things do matter. So I mean, I did end up using Rise, and I would suggest those who have not used Rise to try and look at it. It's a great way to use a tool that implements that kind of a thing where you have conversations around what is important, what kind of impact you're having. Does this even make sense? Can we move it out? Things like that. One other good thing about Rise is that it allows you to de-scope things. This is something that we have faced.
Definitely,
right?
yes.
Something else comes in between. Someone else says, oh, this is a lot more important right away. So what do you deprioritize? And Rise helps you do that. And I think that's a great thing about that, measuring technique, to be honest.
Yeah, completely agree, because I think that most of us are using Rise or 2x2 or whatever. And it's about, I really like the concept that you have said about develop something that customer loves, because nobody is gonna use your feature full of any product if there is no quality out of it, and people are not getting something out of it and it's solving their problem. So definitely a big takeover for each of us is that be very customer centric, and meanwhile prioritize something that your customers want to look, and something that you can ship faster with the quality and impact. Exactly. So these are and definitely Rise is, I would also recommend each of us to go through the Rise, and what Pallavi has said is a great tool. And I think most of the product driven companies and all, they use Rise as a prioritization tool a lot. So Pallavi, it was a great so far. So just to continue this entire conversation, I really wanted to get into a little more different from the practice now.
Yeah.
And let's bucket it as a challenges. So the question is like, everybody has challenges. Career is not like a bed of roses, as we said it earlier. So what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced as a woman in a product? It's a very important thing, right? And how have you overcome them? Because it is going to really help a lot of people who have joined here, especially all the female counterparts who really want to pursue in that career as a product manager. Please, can you just give a brief or your point of view on that?
That's a great question, actually, Sylvie. And I was thinking about, how I should handle this question, to be very honest. Like I said, I have lived in Australia and I've lived in US. And when I first came back here, I should say, when I was interviewing at Philips, and I tell this story to a lot of people, I just did my interview and I came and I sat at the reception because I was waiting for some kind of next step decision or something like that. And I saw all these women at work, these beautiful women, everyone with their own personality, dressed in their own way. And for me, sitting over there, I realized this was the first time I was seeing so many women in one place. So many confident women, smiling, walking about, with some kind of a purpose around me. And to me, that felt like a great thing. In that sense, I do think that I have an edge because I'm working at a company where diversity and inclusion is definitely preferred, and it is definitely celebrated in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But in terms of the kind of challenges that you can face as a woman is, we being women, we have a high EQ.
Yeah.
When we listen to interviews, when we start reading about things, especially being in healthcare, when I start reading about things, it's very difficult not to be emotionally involved, right? It's also very difficult that when you're in meetings and you're trying to say something, your passion comes across, and you need to be able to handle that, right? That emotional quality with being confident. And that's not easy. It took me some time, very honestly, to get there. But eventually, when you get there, you start realizing the power you hold in being able to tell things in an empathetic way, but still being able to say, because once you start talking about the challenges that you're trying to solve in an empathetic way, but you are also combining it with strategy, combining it with the bottom line, the impact you're bringing in for the customer, I think women have a lot more strength in being great leaders, right? Great product leaders. And I'm sure you know this better than most people at this point of time, right? And I think also being able to influence people without any authority, because you very rarely have you very rarely have a team that is actually reporting to you, right? And you have to, right? You have to constantly influence them, get them to be on the same page as you. If not, you need to have those open discussions, and those open discussions need to be emotional and charged and all that. But at the end of the day, you should be able to go back and have a cup of coffee, laugh at it, because at the end of the day, your discussions mean that you are providing a solution, right? A solution that will actually have an impact, because you're looking at these different kind of diverse thought processes and what is the right thing that you want to deliver. And this, I think, is what I faced as a challenge. As a woman, for me, it was difficult because I was emotional, I was passionate about things, I still am. But I also realized that I had to tell myself that I'm not going to change that about me, because that is what is unique about me. That is what is unique about us being a woman. And we need to just package it a bit different, right? Talk about different things while you're talking about what you're passionate about.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a great, I can just correlate as you said it, because there's a one very important quotation is there in a product manager: control, influence without control. That is one aspect. And definitely somewhere being an emotional or being a woman very emotional, it really takes toll on their thoughts, like why everybody is not listening. And I think this is one of the important challenges, and it can be overcome, because that is a true. And I think these are the small challenges, I would say, not a bigger challenges, because your tools, your skills and everything is above all. And competency and your like way of doing things make more sense as compared to these small challenges. Practice, 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 and try to lead and just, take care of a stakeholder. Automatically, I think one fine day breakthrough happens.
In fact, I agree with you a lot, Sylvia. I have to bring that point in when you said that when you follow a framework, right? When you follow a process, you have data points. No one can argue with data points. You have insights, you have secondary research, you have primary research, you have data backing all the passion you're showing for your product. And as long as you have the process in place and you have the data in place, there's very little anyone can do in questioning, right? I mean, it's basically out there for anyone to see it. And, anyone asks you a question, how are you saying this? Oh, 86% of the people that I spoke to said this. There's no arguing there, right? I mean, it's just there already.
Yes, yes, completely agree. I think it's a very great insight you shared with us here. So just to move forward with our conversation is that how do you approach customer research, as you said about data?
Yeah.
Right. So how exactly you approach your customer research and gather feedback to inform product development? Why I'm asking, because data is the key in product management. Data-driven product management is the key to drive a product. Yeah. So what's your takeaway and points?
So I do follow this process called design experience, which is, a Phillips process, which is very similar to design thinking too. Yeah. Here, before I go into it, I want to say there are a lot of frameworks out there. There's lean product management. There is the double diamond. There is this, there's that.
Yes.
The way I approach it is that I know there's this one process that I believe in, and I tweak it as I go. I use it as a basis, a foundation, as a blueprint, but I tweak it per project. I tweak it based on the kind of insights I'm gaining as I do it. And because that is the whole point of these frameworks. They're there to help you and support you in going forward. So when it comes to customer research itself, I start off with secondary research. I love reading, and I would suggest anyone who is getting into this, to start reading a lot.
Okay.
This is a process where, being a product manager especially is, and we both were having this conversation the other day, that it is a process that is self-motivating, right? You have to motivate yourself. You have to be interested in the subject that you're working on. I do a lot of secondary research. I create a bunch of hypotheses around it. And then I start looking at, okay, what is the segment that I'm talking about, right? When I'm talking about this challenge, which is the segment that is affecting the most? Then I create a persona around it before I even go ahead and start doing primary interviews.
Yes.
So then I create questionnaires, I do some mock interviews, go to a bunch of people, ask them what they think. There's always an iteration process involved in it. And as I'm doing interviews also, right? Let's say it can be anywhere between interviewing 20 people to 200 people. I've done all of that. But let's say you do a few interviews, you go back, you look at your questions, you look at what kind of answers you're getting. Are you having leading questions? Are you having questions that are open enough where you can have a conversation without having a yes or no answer, right? Those are the kind of things I do. And of course, like you were talking about the data analytics part, if there is already data available and competitor analysis, which you do in your secondary research, helps a lot, right? These are the kind of things I do in parallel and try to gain as much information as possible. And all of this is iterative, right? You keep going back and doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. So definitely data is king, as you have said, and definitely customer analytics and behavioral analytics, etc., helps a lot to make right decisions, right, for the product, which is innovative and impactful. So just to continue this entire data aspect, I would just like to understand from you that we know that KPIs and metrics are very important for product.
Yeah.
So how do you measure the success of your product or whatever product is pipeline for the innovation point of view? And what metrics do you use to track progress? Not a specific metrics. How do you take the approach of entire your primary, secondary, and North Star? So what's your point of view on that?
So this depends on whether you're creating a completely new solution or proposition, or you're adding something to an existing product, right? If you're adding something to an existing product, then the question is, things like NPS matters, things like MAU matters, things like retention matters, things like what are people talking about it matters.
Right.
When you're talking about a new proposition or a new solution that you want to put in the market, a product market fit through validation becomes very important, right? You're trying to say, am I impacting, like I have been trying to say, in things like healthcare, let's say, if I come up with a solution, am I actually bringing value to the patient, right? At the end of it, it might be the doctor who is using the solution. It might be making it easier for the doctor to make, like we are just augmenting the doctor's, professional services at this point of time. Are we improving it in such a way that the impact for the patient is again positive? Is it bringing in better outcomes for them, right? Are they having a better experience because of that? Does it mean at the end of the day, the owner of this person who has made a decision to buy this solution is saving some money? The money part can be in any form, right? It can be in time, it can be in performance, it can be in scalability, it can be in the number of people that they are able to serve. And these are the kind of things I would look at if it is a completely new solution. These things also apply, again, to existing solutions, but the idea is to always look at what kind of impact you have at every level. In fact, I remember we had a market person come in at Philips and they were talking about this level of KPI metrics that you affect. And I absolutely loved it. And I wrote about it, I remember, was, let's say you're looking at a solution, right? And you go, let's say you want to be that person who goes to a company and you want to sell it. CEO has some metrics that they have to fulfill. Then the CFO has something, CTO has something, the vice president has something. How are you affecting at each level? What metrics are you affecting at each level, right? And that becomes very important. And when you start looking at it that way, you're looking at a bigger picture, a whole picture, and that makes it a lot more easier to understand whether, that is the best way to, I would say, look at success.
So I can just correlate with that. Cascading your metrics, either top to down, is very important so that each of the leadership or the people at the execution level are tied themselves to the overall objective.
Exactly.
Right. So there's OKRs and OGA. There are a lot of other frameworks are there that people use it. So definitely a good takeaway for the people to start thinking in that way as well. These are the metrics data we spoke about, but there's another important aspect, and not it. I think it's I cannot say prioritization is less important or has a higher importance. It's about collaboration, which is very important for product managers, cross-functional teams. So how do you collaborate with the cross-functional teams such as engineering and design, marketing, brand to bring a product to market? Because this is the very important thing. I think the crux of entire product management sometimes becomes collaboration.
And that's a very good question, Sylvie, because this is also was a learning process for me. And I think that it is a great thing to remember to do this is to take people along with you from the start, right? Let's say an idea has come into picture. People want to be a part of new ideas, right? I mean, I'm interested if someone is doing something new, if Sylvie is doing something new, I want to be a part of it. I want to raise my hand and say, hey, can I be a part of this? How can I support you? What I do when I start off with a new solution is to basically create a team, right? A core team that includes people from all these different walks or different teams and cross-functional teams, and then go forward with that. And they are involved from the start, right? They will be a part of the interviews, they're a part of all these different things. Then when we actually come to a point where we understand the customer journey, we understand the pains, we understand the challenges, we have all the insights, we do something called a co-create workshop, right? It's like 1 day or a 2-day workshop. Sometimes we have 2 separate workshops. And here I have done workshops with almost 40 people, right? And create an entire agenda throughout the day for people to ideate around things, to have that kind of collaborative, discussions around things and say, this is my idea, right? And why not this? Why not that? Like prioritizations and all that. There are different models that you can use while you're in this workshop. And this workshop also needs, of course, if you have a full day workshop, people are going to get bored, they're going to lose interest. So I do silly things like have games within that, have quiz, have great food. It's very important to have great food. It's a good motivator. So yes, one is to include them from the start. 2 is when you need more people included, get them all under one roof, right? As much as possible, physically under one roof is a great way to do it. And then have these co-create sessions around that.
Yeah. So I can just correlate my previous organization. We used to have a week long, every 2 hours connect with a stakeholder. We used to call it as a discovery and framing sort of things. And we used to discover and prioritize. And so in that way, at least a lot of cross-functional team used to come, either it's your marketing, branding, design, experience, product management, everyone were collectively helping to solve the problems and prioritizing it. So I think this sprint, even Google sprint, I think that these are just variant, I would say.
Exactly.
And you can curate it. The best part is that you can curate it as per your enterprise need, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So definitely, I think this is one of the takeaway that everybody should take, like as a product manager, bring that practice to your place. Because if it is not there, you are just executing somebody else. Yeah, we call it as a hippo, highest paid person, right?
Yeah.
A vision. I think this is one of the important area where all the product company always in the beginning itself. So these are the practices and all, but how do you stay up to date with the latest trends? Because while product management is all about sometime bringing something which is impactful, but also better than your competitors and where you work and all, the products are quite innovative. So how you guys, or you especially, stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in the product management space? And what resources do you rely on? Because it is going to help a lot of people over here to follow the same pattern in order to learn.
So one of the things I did, Survey, in the start was I realized that if I am learning something new, there might be other people out there like me who must be learning the same thing. And being a person who likes to write down things, I started writing articles because articles were basically, I also took some help in trying to understand what is the right way to write an article.
Yeah.
But for me, writing those articles is about learning. And for anyone who's reading it, to be able to read it and understand that, okay, this is the basic stuff about this. What else can I read, right? Because you know what are the terms that are involved in it and things like that. The great thing about writing an article is that I have to read a lot. I have to read a lot to understand what is happening currently, what was there in the past, what is the right way to do it, what works and what doesn't work, and what is my role as product manager, right? That is one of the major things that I started doing at the start of this journey, like about 3 years ago. I started writing a lot, and that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It helps me to also go and say things like, what are the trends, right? I simply, like, every year in January after the New Year's, 2-3 days later, I go, what are the trends in product management for 2023? Which might seem very weird, but there are a lot of articles on that,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely,
Then in the domain you are, what are healthcare trends for 2023?
yeah.
Right? And then I try to match them up and see where is it that I'm lacking? What is it that I need to learn? And start looking at that.
Yeah.
Of course, the second thing would be to read books, right? I read a lot. I tend to do, like these different kinds of books that are there, like, Do Epic Shift is one of the books that I'm about to read right now. I think these books are really great. It's not necessary that because you're reading a book, you need to follow the framework. It is to understand the story and keep it with you, right? That becomes very important at the end of the day.
I think this is the very important part, reading. And I think many aspiring product managers, the people who are already practicing product managers, miss this side. And I think the reading is an important aspect. And there are so many things like TechCrunch, people should, and they should really listen to podcast, or Medium is one of the important platform where they can read as well. And I think writing is important thing to keep yourself updated and always remain alert. Been out of a crowd, if you have to shine, what really matters is that how quickly you bring something on the table. And I think writing is a great way to help. It really stores something in your subconscious mind, and that is where you shine yourself and outshine among everyone. So reading is very, very important thing, and there is no substitute of it, I think, Pallavi, and I think you are agree with that. There's
Definitely, Sylvie.
no.
It also brings out the thought leaders in us, right? Because we are looking towards the future instead of just being like a frog in the well, and we're constantly just thinking about our product, our solution, our company. The only way to grow is to start looking outside and becoming thought leaders.
I think that's a very important thing you said. Like, if you really want to look around, it's always better way to look around what your competitors and what outsiders are doing. Otherwise, you are always engrossed so much in the practices that your company, per se, XYZ, is following. And you are always and completely uneducated about the outside trends. And product management is all about being updated. There's no other alternatives. The goods insight, I think. And to move with the other question that I have, I noted it, is that how do you foster a culture of innovation and experimentation within your product team? Because experimentation is an important aspect now. Like we always chime in, like experimental organization. So how you manage this in your product management environment?
So in terms of, again, I come back to data because data becomes such a huge factor of everything I do. I remember we had a product where we wanted to increase or improve the NPS score, right? And we wanted to understand why the NPS score was low. It's very difficult, actually. People don't realize how difficult it is to understand what is going wrong, because everything you're doing, of course, you're doing thinking that it is going to be a great thing. It's going to add a great positive value to the product and things like that. The way I would look at it is, when you're talking to your team, take this data and talk to them about it, right? One is, of course, always talking about how we are impacting the customer. I keep saying this all the time, but it's so important because it's an important conversation to have every time you have a meeting on something which, affects the product. The second part is take data associated with it. Say, these are the reviews that you're getting for the solution that you have, or this is where I see a lot of churn rate, or this is where I see people are dropping off, are not interested in coming back to this product, or things like that, right? And that is where you need to take this data. And like you said, I love that you said that, because that's what I was going to say, the experiment part. You try to come up with a few ideas and you experiment it. You don't come up with an idea that would take, like, let's say, 2 PIs to actually create and put it out there in the market. You need to break it down and you need to see what is your quickest win or your quickest fail, right? Try to put it out there. Try to see what is going to work the best. And then use some metrics. Always start off by saying, if I do this, right, I will consider it a success if this happens, or I will stop doing it if this happens. The moment you have that and you go forward with it, it becomes faster. You're experimenting faster, you're failing faster, but you're also succeeding faster. That is where I would look at it in terms of innovation. I also believe that there is a need for cognitive diversity, right, when it comes to innovation. Again, if you look at healthcare, it affects everyone, right? It affects people of different socioeconomic status. It affects, all genders. It affects everyone in different ways. And your stomachache is, very special to you or unique to you, then my stomachache is unique to me. So when you bring in that kind of cognitive diversity and you start listening to people's ideas, that helps a lot. The other thing also that I have realized that helps is that when you take these ideas, no idea is good or bad. It is just a question of whether it is the right time to implement it or not. You take it further, you get them to present it to other people. You give them the tools to come up with the right kind of way to present it, right? What is your elevator pitch? Everyone says, but you help them create that elevator pitch and take it to the next level. People are more interested in being a part of innovation when you start doing that, because then they start understanding more, they learn. Even if their idea doesn't get through, they at least learn. They understand, okay, next time I know what it is that I was missing in this one, I'll make sure that I include it the next time I do this. So that's what I look at it as.
Yeah, because elevator pitch that you have said, I think each one of us should ready with our pitch, because nobody has a time right now. You cannot go and give a 1 hour lecture and say that this is my pitch deck. Elevator pitch is always going to help one to let others know that what's your ideation. And then always you set the ways, like there are a lot of ways, AB and usability testing, and or just doing the very low viable testing like prototypes and all, which help us to run the experiment and correct and decorrect your hypothesis that you try to test it, as you have said it, I guess.
Yes.
So I think these are the important thing for any product driven mindset, to be to first of all think about experiment, just reduce the cost, capacity, a lot of them, and fail faster.
Exactly.
It's not always a win, that we are not going to make a winning product. It's very good to understand that what I'm thinking is not going to work at the very beginning itself.
Exactly.
So risk is always right. And we are kind of de-risking that kind of things as well before putting a lot of money. So yeah, I totally resonate. And I'm pretty sure the audiences over here can understand that what you're trying and what we are trying to, tell them to follow. How do you advocate the diversity and inclusion? Because this is very important topic. I wanted to bring it up in the beginning, but I just thought like other topic, let it finish, related to practice in product development, and what a step you have taken to create a more inclusive workplace.
So I should tell you again that one of the greatest things you can do when you become a leader, when you become a person whose words matter, is to mentor, is to coach, is to always be open to those people who come to you and say, hey, I want to reach the same place, or I want to take up this new way of doing things, and what can I do for it? And I have never said no to anyone who has come to be, that kind of a mentor towards them, that they can achieve things that I have achieved faster than me. That is how I look at it, right? I want them to achieve it faster because now they have my experience. They have, then it should be faster if they're using my experience. It shouldn't take as much time as it took me, right?
Yeah.
The other thing also is, like I keep saying, in terms of gender diversity, we should also look at not just women. And when Kashish was showing the video in the start of all these women talking, it was so heartening to see all these different women from different backgrounds. And this is very important to have, right? Because like I said, all products are used by all these different people, and having their input also matters a lot. So it is not just a question of, oh, can I just get all women into it? It is also of, can I get women from different backgrounds?
Yes.
Let it be women who just came back from their maternity leave,
Yeah.
because, they're bringing in a worth of experience that probably we won't be able to, have at that moment, right?
Yeah.
And can we bring in women from a different background? They're coming from a manufacturing background. They're suddenly in software. Then they're talking about how important it is that the software should be 99.99% accurate every given point of time,
Yes.
because of the amount of money it costs to, for a mistake to be fixed. So this kind of a thing is a conversation that we always have at work, and it is, if someone raises their hand, I would say always encourage them to go forward with it, no matter. That is how I look at it.
Yeah. Important point, as you said, that the people who are coming from the diverse background, especially about women, and not from the only women are working, keeping them diversified is very important, because each one of them bring a lot of experience from their previous background. And I think the task becomes very easier when we utilize those experience. And in nutshell, I think that start a very winning product team or a winning product organization in the beginning itself. So I think I can totally resonate with your thoughts here. So I can see a lot of questions. So Kashish, do we have 10 minutes are left? So what do you say? Like, we have to take the questions, or we need to continue?
No problem. You can go ahead and take a couple of questions. I guess there are 2 questions I've shared with you. Maybe you can go ahead and take that, and maybe then if there are no more questions, you can continue maybe the panel for another few minutes. So
Okay.
I've just shared a question from
Yeah.
Vishruth Kumar.
Yeah, so let's discuss 1 or 2 questions, then I'll come to, my questions. I mean the audience questions. So I think I can read one of the question here. What is your value proposition and how to stand out in a current market? I understand the question is about product value proposition and how to stand out in a current market, how your product differs and is better than competition. What do you like, Pallavi, to say on that?
So it's a very broad question,
Yeah,
right?
very
In terms
broad
of
questions,
yeah. I would say that, of course, there are a lot of tools, but the way I would look at it is to understand your competitors really well. Of course, there's the red ocean strategy and the blue ocean strategy that you can look at, right? Day by day, with startups coming up, blue ocean strategy is going to become more pink or purple, and towards red, any which way. The idea is not that you will always have a differentiator that is so different, right? Because I remember that every time I sit in any kind of product management sessions, everyone brings in Apple as an example. I don't think we should use Apple as an example that much anymore, because we are looking at disruptive innovation a lot, and it's not needed that it needs to be disruptive, right? It still is innovation, even if it is a small one, right? The way to look at it is, am I doing the same thing better than my competitor, right? Am I giving a better experience to my customer? It can be just better experience. It can be that, because of the way I'm providing these things, the customer is adhering to what I'm saying a lot more than anyone else. If you take any kind of a consumer product outside, there are so many different brands. How do you differentiate yourself? It's with quality, it's with trust, it's with brand, it's with the kind of, the best that you can provide in that. And that is what you should focus on. If you can provide a differentiator, and if this differentiator resonates with the customer or the target segment that you're talking about, awesome, you have a disruptive innovation, but that is far and few at this point of time, right? And you need to always have a product market fit no matter what.
Yeah. So it's more about, again, it just ends to this point of view, is that it's a customer experience, and the customer experience is one of the way towards a product-led growth. And that is where your product differs from one to your competitor. And I think growth and scalability comes when you constantly thrive towards making some impactful or giving some impactful things or value to your customer. And I think the path is clear then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agree, completely agree.
Yeah. So I think hopefully the question whosoever asked is clear to you. If not, you can just pop up the questions. How do you measure success, revenue, user engagement, customer satisfaction? I think we have spoke a lot, but I I mean, would you like to say? Otherwise, I think
Can
it's
you
a very
repeat that
detailed
question?
question.
So something just
Yeah,
popped
how
up.
do you measure success, revenue, user engagement, customer satisfaction, etc.? So,
Exactly. I mean, we spoke about this already.
yeah, right.
It's about the impact
But,
that you're making at the end of the day.
yeah.
The bottom line that needs to matter. It's the
Yes.
metrics, the cascading metrics that we spoke about, the numbers at the end of the day.
So just to add on that, revenue is like a revenue. Nobody can. Revenue is a primary sometimes. Of course, product experience is nowadays a new, thing. User engagement, you have your funnel, look at your funnel. A lot of tools are there in the market that you can use it, right? To see how your folks are interacting, how your customer is interacting with your product across the funnel. Customer satisfaction, I think Pallavi has said about NPS, you have said that on which you are working. Others are CSAT, customer effort score, etc. So I think it's a detail. You can go through it on any blogs.
Nowadays, there's so many SaaS related products, cloud related products. Having, like you said, the experience matters because are you subscribing back, right? Every time.
Buying, retention, as you said, retention, right?
Yeah.
We are retaining or we are just one-time buyer and go off.
It depends so much on what kind of product are a part of that. These metrics differ each time.
So here, Kashish, I have completed these 2 questions. There are some more. Would you like me to take those questions or we have to continue our conversation?
Yeah, please, if you can go ahead and take maybe 3 more questions.
All right.
From the audience, and we can then proceed.
Yeah, so the other question which is coming here is, what are the most valuable data analysis skills a product manager should have? I think, yeah, go ahead, Pallavi, then I'll add up my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the skills that you need is that you want to make sure that the product is actually capturing the right kind of data to start with. There are a lot of tools associated with it. Like I said, you start off by looking at hypotheses and you compare your answers to validate or invalidate these. But then the idea is not to just validate or invalidate hypotheses, right? It's also about gaining new insights. And the tools are, I mean, I have not used very big tools at this point of time. We have Google Analytics, we have Adobe Analytics that you look at, and you start looking at. Again, it depends on product. If I was a part of a connected device that has an app associated with it, so I looked at retention, which was first week, 4th week, 6th week, and 8th week, right? Then you also look at engagement, how many people are there, what is your monthly active users. You talk about what is your churn, which is very not very easy to calculate. You're looking at how many pages are they going through, what kind of pages, and when are they dropping out. And these things are, again, very dependent on the kind of product that you're working on. Analytical tools are already there. The idea is that, for example, let's say, and I think Siribi can add a lot more here. Let's say you can use generative AI, right, to have predictive analytics on these kind of things. Can you use that? These are the kind of questions you want to ask yourself, right? Tomorrow, can you use Chat GPT? And I'm just using that as an example, probably. But you won't be allowed to put in your data there. Please, guys, be careful. Company data is not supposed to go out. Exactly.
Of compliance,
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, think of tools that would, one, give you insights, actionable insights, very importantly, insights that you can act on from the data that you already have. Then can you take this data and create some kind of predictive insights on whether, this is something that is going to continue to work? Do you need to go back to your whiteboard and look at it? Because being a product manager and something that you will learn as you go forward is that you need to adapt as the time changes. Because from the time that you actually ideate to the product coming into the market, unless you're in a startup, it takes a lot of time.
A lot of time. And I just wanted to add one point over here. As you said, you don't need to be a very good data analyst.
Yeah.
A lot of tools are there, like as he said, or like Google Analytics, your Max panel is there, and a lot of things are there, based on your enterprise level size and all. Be a strategist who knows how to get these things done using that tool. You do, correct? So gonna be data,
right? How do you apply the strategy?
How do you use it? Yeah. So invest a lot of your time over making a strategy, like how faster you can pivot or perceive based on the data insight. Your tools and application does a lot of manual things that people were doing previously in Excel now. So you don't need to be, I think that is what Pallavi also said, be more a strategic thinker, impactful thinker and practitioner in rather than being, getting more into
And
that.
compare it to market standards, right? Are you better than it? Are you
Yes.
lagging behind? What are your
Right.
leading indicators? What are your
Yeah.
lagging indicators?
Correct.
Try to
Correct.
look at it in
Correct.
terms of who is your competitor? How are they doing? You might not always have data, on hand for your competitor, but it's a question of making that kind of intelligent assumptions around things, and making sure that you're going forward with it in those terms.
It's more like being intuitive sometime as well, right? A lot of time,
Exactly.
how
Exactly.
you just see that data and bring the insights. So one question I'll take, we have 2 minutes, I think. What are the 3 most valuable resources for product manager to remain up to date with the industry agnostic PM best practices? I think we have already discussed this with the medium and
Ms. Siribi, we have just, sorry to interrupt you, we just have 2 more questions that have shared. If panel, if I can just take your consent to extend, let's say by 5 or 10 minutes to just take these 2 questions, one by Mridusmita Das and one more by Sagarika Burman. Ms. Siribi, I've shared them with you on your chat box. These are questions that we've received. If you can go ahead and take these as well.
So Sagarika and Madhusmita. Okay. Okay, so the first question is here, would you give us a real life example where you have succeeded and also a failure? And what was your thought at that point? How did you deal the success and failure?
Okay, so I don't know if I can give out examples because it's company related information. But is this from Madhusmita or?
Yeah, Madhusmita Das. Yeah.
So Madhusmita, I would say that every stage of going through this, there will always be challenges. There will always be step backs, right? There'll be times when you question yourself whether you are looking at the right thing. And I have done this so much that I start worrying about it, and then I'm like, oh my God, have I just invested a lot of my time, and I have convinced everyone, all stakeholders, to be interested in something that probably is not out there, right? This kind of a thing does happen. It's when you work for companies, you don't normally go in and do something that fails spectacularly in that sense. You tend to do a lot of due diligence before you get to that point, but there will always be small failures, right? And that is the reason why processes work. Processes are very important because they help you understand. There are gates where you can go back and say, am I doing the right thing? Do I need to go back to the whiteboard and look at what I'm doing? Am I doing it the right way, or do I need to relook at this? That is something that I have done a few times at this point of time, and that is a very good thing because before you go into the market, before you even create your go-to market, because there are so many people involved, right? You have market people involved, and they will tell you, because the numbers that you're coming up with, does it even make sense, right? What is your CAC like, right? What are you talking about in terms of profit? Where is this number coming from? Where did you even come up with this TAM SAM number? It doesn't even make sense. So this is something that you will constantly face, and this is something that you need to be extremely patient about. It needs that kind of, again, self motivation to constantly believe. And when you don't, and you start having questions around it, go back and read more, right? And I have always found that when I go back and look at everything, data helps. Again, data helps because it builds your faith back in what you're doing. I think, again, I'm sorry I'm not able to give you very clear examples because it's not something I'm allowed to talk about. It wouldn't be right to talk about solutions that I'm working on at this point of time. That is the only reason. But that's something that normally happens, and so we can add in, I guess, because with your experience.
Yeah. Nicely said, actually. I agree with that. And it's more about introspection. For example, rather than pondering over a lot on the failure is the part of product management. Just go with that. Every time you are not going to win that. But definitely what make you very consistent is that what you learn from your failure and then improve your next process. And that brings the success. So it's more like a dip and then high. So I think that's the best thing, and dealt with that kind of situation always, you have to be a little bit stronger emotionally as well. So the second question I think I can take from Sagarika Burman. Have you ever gone wrong in taking in product related decisions? If yes, would you please share your learnings from it?
So Sagarika is from my team. She used to be in my team. Hi, Sagarika. So nice to see you here. Have I gone wrong? I would say that maybe there are some stories in features that were not the right stories to fulfill or prioritize at some point of time, and you will be aware of them already. But I have not, again, because there are so many people involved and so many stop gates involved. It has never been that a bigger decision where you can go wrong. I have not yet faced that in that sense, and thanks to the entire team for it and the processes for it. But yes, there are stories. Like I said, it is a question of failing fast, learning from it, and moving on to the next one.
Yes.
And in fact, at that point, failure becomes an amazing thing,
Yeah.
right? Because something has not worked at least, right? Imagine you are going on thinking it will work, and you're working on it constantly. You have spent a lot of time on it. You have spent a lot of money on it. Eventually, it goes out and it fails, and it costs you a lot of money. It costs you resources. It costs you, your own confidence and things like that. But such small failures, definitely have faced them. And for me, they have been stepping stones towards success, because then, we were able to improve further on things that we were working on.
Yeah, it's more like, as you have said very well, that failing faster. And I said, like, there's no other scope than that. And I think that's where the lean startup or a lot of other practices where we just want to reduce the cost and capacity and the effort and money by validating that the solution that we are trying to build or the feature that we are trying to build is going to make an impact or not. And if in the beginning itself it fails, I think it's not a kind of failure that makes upset to us. Rather than we can thrive it by making it more better. We can learn from that and then, go ahead with that. So I think with that, I have covered those two questions, Cassius. How would you like to move now, or we have to close the sessions, or what?
We do have a little bit of time constraint. Maybe if you'd like to go ahead and cover one of the last questions that you'd like to from your end.
Okay, so
Siribi, I think the last question may not be relevant to the panel because this is on healthcare. We've had different panels on this.
Okay.
But maybe we can skip this question and maybe we could go ahead and close with one of the questions from you, Siribi, if you'd like to go ahead and close the panel for the evening.
Okay. I think I need to figure it out which particular questions, definitely. Final question that we are going to close the door now with that final question. What advice would you give to women who are just starting out in product management? I think it's going to help. It's related to the theme.
Yeah. So actually, when the starting, I wanted to tell this point, and good that you brought this up because I want to say this. When I got into this, what I did, and which was kind of scary for me, was to actually reach out to people who were working on these amazing projects. And this was, in addition to my work. And I called them up. I set up meetings with them. I gave them a quick, presentation on. And when I say presentation, it's not about the slides, right? It's about what you're talking about, what I can bring. Can I be a part of your team? Can I just do whatever? It doesn't matter what it is. Can I be a part of it, right? And start being a part of these projects. The more you start learning, the more you start experiencing. And that is where I started, right? I basically called up and I said, hey, I work with this clinic. This clinic is in tribal areas. This was great experience for me. I can bring in this. I can bring in customer insights in this way. This is how I help them improve. And then I went on, talking to a lot of people, and I raised my hand every time. Every opportunity I got in everything, I raised my hand. Let it be anything, right? That happens at work. Let it be events, let it be anything. Because being able to communicate, network, having that kind of conversations with people, because people start opening up, the more they see you, the more visible you are, the more they know that you're participating in things, that they can depend on you in getting things
done. Sense. Yeah.
Right. And that is where I think for me, that was my biggest confidence booster for myself, but also it brought in that kind of trust from the people that I work with, because then they knew that, okay, she knows what she's talking about because I approached it the right way. Then I started participating in these things. I said, then slowly I said, can I be a part of this? Can I get a seat at your table? Can I be a part of where you're making these decisions, right? And then they start allowing you to do it because you have been, contributing constantly towards these problems. And that is where I think everyone should start looking at it as not just what I'm doing as my role, or whether I'm getting to be a product manager, whether I'm getting to be a product owner or not. When I was a product manager but working as a product owner, I said, can I get a seat at the table? All I want to do is listen. I want to learn. The only way I can learn is through experience, and I need a seat at the table. And very, very surprisingly, when you ask, people say yes, right? You might need to ask a few times. I think people should do that. People should basically say, can I be a part of this, right? Even if someone says no, try the next one, right? There might be n number of reasons why they're saying no. They might not be saying no because of, you being a woman, or they don't want you to be a part of it. It might not be any of those things. These are things that we put for ourselves, right? We put these barriers within ourselves, and we are so scared. And I myself have been like that. I've been very scared. I have never been able to scale this barrier, but once I scaled it, oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing the kind of opportunities you get, the kind of experience you get, and what you get to be a part of. And I think that would be my biggest advice to anyone who wants to take this up.
It's a great, actually. It's more not like sit back and your opportunity will knock your door. It never happens. You have to raise your hand. You need to be proactive and try to take all challenges, any kind of thing that's coming. I think you have somewhere told, like, no matter it's an event or no matter it's a what kind of things, anything that happening inside your industry, I mean, inside your organization, try to be the part of it as much as you can maintain and balance it out. You don't need to overdo based on your capacity. And I think with a constant effort, it helps. It takes time, but it helps you out to outshine, and it helps you out to proactively shape up your career the way you really want it. But I think you have to be proactive. You need to learn, you need to read, you need to bring out your thoughts, right? Asking right questions during forums and workshop. And I think people love it. And you might have a little challenges in the beginning. It takes time.
You shouldn't associate expectations with it. The moment you say, oh, but I did this, why didn't I get something back from it? That shouldn't be the case.
That
right?
shouldn't. Because there is one has gone, you will get multiple opportunity.
Exactly.
As you have said very well right away, because don't stick emotionally with something where people have said no to you, that you are not going to, nobody has intention. They might have a better person than you for a time being. You need to be very confident that that one person you have to be later on. And what makes you is your skill set, your constant urge towards making yourself a better version of yourself. That's all it matters. So I think very well said, Pallavi. We all can correlate with that. And I think people and audience will learn. And I hope this question is going to help a lot, which is so much resonating with this entire concept that we wanted to talk to today, women in product marketing. So with that, I would like to close this entire conversation with Pallavi, and it was great time with you, Pallavi. I really enjoyed a lot, and I think
here, Siribi. It was great talking to you, very honestly, and I'm hoping that we stay in touch. I really enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah,
and I must say thank you to both of you. I couldn't stop listening as well. It was a very engaging session, even for me. I just didn't want to miss any sentence or any question. Thank you so much, Siribi, especially for moderating and taking us through the conversation so well. I genuinely felt like we were at a fireside, having a quick conversation and talking about experiences in a very casual yet very engaging and insightful way. Thanks a lot, Pallavi, for your insights and inputs. I'm sure they were so realistic that they'll be relatable to all of our audience members here. I'm sure that all of the women in the audience as well are feeling very encouraged and motivated to go ahead and take the challenges head on and take up senior leadership roles in product. Thank you so much.
Thanks for contributing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I just quickly request both of you to just check your chat box. I'll give you a minute. If you can personally ping me the vote that you would have for the audience best question award that we would like to give. And until then, I will go ahead and mention what we're looking for tomorrow and the coming weeks. So audience, just show you, so you know, until the panelists vote for the best question, I'll give you a minute, Pallavi and Siribi, to go through the question, and just, you can personally ping it, the name to me, who you'd like to vote. Let me just quickly tell you that tomorrow's session, we have something super interesting happening. We have more panelists coming up, and this is going to be a roundtable discussion, which is a slightly more longer. We're going to have a panel of about 4 to 5 people who will be joining in, talking about whether the future of workforce lies in building a skilled team or whether organizations should consider hiring top talent. Now, tomorrow's session, tomorrow in the sense, I mean 4th of May, mark your calendars for Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. and you will be witnessing some super interesting perspectives on two different questions here, building a skilled team versus hiring top talent. We have Diya Kuttappa, Srividya Natarajan, Sonali Nanda, and Suma Nataraj joining in from really good backgrounds and top senior positions who will be sharing their perspectives and their experiences. So don't miss this panel. Go ahead, add it to your calendar. If you would like to attend more sessions, mark your calendars for 7th of May, 9th, 10th, and 11th of May, where we will be having more sessions on product design next week. The finale will be happening on the 13th of May. So if you're in Bangalore, please mark your calendars for the 13th of May and meet us. Meet all of these incredible women in different domains across the world at Bangalore. All right, let me go ahead and also share one more special news with you. I would also like to announce that we have a Dine with a Product Leader award that we will be giving away towards the end of the event. Now, this special award is for the highest enthusiastic audience members we have who come in, interact, ask questions, interact with these speakers as well as us. And we noticed that they're here consistently through a lot of events, engaging and being a part of these amazing conversations that we have. So 2 lucky winners at the end of the series win an opportunity, an exclusive opportunity to dine with a product leader and talk to them and network on an exclusive level. So do not miss this opportunity. Also, for the best audience question, this award will be valid throughout all sessions. So today we have the award. Tomorrow also, once the session commences, we will have the award for the next ones as well. So don't forget to go ahead and attend these sessions.
Okay.
Siribi and Pallavi, you can also share a particular question. If you are unable to find their names, you can just tell me what question intrigued you, and I'll go ahead and announce that because I'll have the names. So you can just share any of the questions that would have intrigued you.
Pallavi, would you, I'm just pinging you, just see that.
All right, until then, let me go ahead and present the certificate to Pallavi Palparthy, our speaker of the day. Thank you so much again for sharing your wonderful insights at this Celebrating Women in Product series. We really appreciate your time and your valuable contribution, especially your insights and your experiences that you've shared on this session. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Before I go ahead and announce the winner, let me also just remind you to check out the productleadersforum.org. You can go ahead and scan. You can become a volunteer, help us in bringing more such sessions to you. You can also become a volunteer for any of the on-ground sessions that they very often organize almost every quarter. So please go ahead, scan the QR code, witness some super incredible people who are a part of this forum. Thanks to Product Leaders Forum for making the series happen. If you've enjoyed the session, please go ahead and drop a quick Google review. We'd love to hear your feedback, especially as product enthusiasts. We all know the importance of receiving feedback, especially for our speakers as well. So if you have any kind of feedback or if you want sessions on a particular topic, then go ahead and ping us and we'd be happy to go ahead and bring that session to you here at the Institute of Product Leadership. All right, I have the winner. Let me go ahead and just announce the winner for you. So first of all, I would like to also thank all of the audience members who put up the questions. To all the people who watched us on LinkedIn, I think there were more than about 30-40 people watching us on LinkedIn. Thank you so much to everyone there as well for your engagement. We really appreciate it. Here, the audience question award for day 3 goes to Madhusmita. Thank you so much for your wonderful question. I think it's the full name would be Mridusmita, right? Thank you so much, Mridusmita Das, for your question. I would like to go ahead and send you this over your email, so stay tuned with us. You would be getting a free e-learning digital course for free, and you can choose what course you'd like from the digital learning courses that we have. Thank you so much again to all of the audience members and the speakers of the evening. I've taken a little bit of an extra time here, but it's very interesting to see these different sessions on different topics, because every time there's a speaker, there are some super interesting thoughts that come out on a specific topic that wouldn't otherwise. So thank you so much, Siribi and Pallavi again. We'll see you again, everybody, on the 4th of May.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Nice.
Thank you. Bye-bye.